باد ما يعتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستعزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا مهزرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها هبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذرية في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومطاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آيات من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها مؤرزين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا مهزرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قول من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أزل منكم جبلا قصيرا أفلم تكونوا تأكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يأكلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون ولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. كل أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. سورة مباركة الفاتحة.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد برباد ہوا باب نبی زور خزاں سے افسوس سفر سے یجب خاص کا جہاں سے شبیر یہ ذات ہے بے شیر خورن میں شبیر یہ ذات ہے بے شیر خورن میں اللہ بشانا انہیں دشمن کی ریاں سے ایک پل میں وہ اصغر کا گلا چھید کے نکلا ایک پل میں وہ اصغر کا گلا چھید کے نکلا وہ تیر جو نکلا کسی ظالم کی کماں سے بچہ کفن و گور کا محتاج پڑا ہے بچہ کفن و گور کا محتاج پڑا ہے چادر بھی نہیں سر پہ کفن دوں میں کہاں سے کس دل سے نکالی شہزادگی جس دل سے نکالی شہزادگی نے برسی لپٹا ساخلے جا علی اکبر کے سینہ سے شبیر شرے کے سے ہوئے حائل قسمت شبیر شرے کے سے ہوئے حائل قسمت وہ تیر پڑا ماس کے سکینہ کے سیاہ سے برباد ہوا بار نبی جو خلا سے محمد وآل محمد صلوات على أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات صواب الفاتحة.
Just a quick announcement. After the program, inshallah, the Salah program will be down in the worship hall. And after the program, for those who have to leave after the program, we'll have the tabarruk near the door. And for those that will go leave after the prayer, we'll distribute it down as well. Tonight, with the Wafat program also, we have Barmasi Majlis for with this Majlis for Marhuma Zarabai Roshan Ali Bachu Sachedina, and 3 months Majlis for Marhum Ibrahim Ghulam Hussain Daramsi for Kul Arwah al-Mu'minina, and this Marhumin Surah Al-Barakatul Fatiha. Let us all recite 5 times Ayyama Yujibu for all those who are sick, especially locally and far, all those who are in need of du'as, for all our safety. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarri iza da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. Amma yujibu al-mustarri iza da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. أما هو يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بر حبيب خدا ختم الأنبياء محمد وآل محمد صلوات
بار دیگر صلوات اللهم صل سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بآواز بلند صلوات اللهم صل. Before I start my taqreer today, our heartiest condolences to Imam Sahib al-Ahsi wal-Zaman. To all the ulamas and all those talib ilm, and to all of you mu'mineen wa mu'minat. Today is a very, very sad and a somber day for all of us. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه ونور عرشه أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين الرسول المسدد محمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد، فقد قال الله يقول الإمام الجواد سلام الله وسلامه علي. ما عظمت نعمة على أحد إلا وعظمتي عليه معوذية الناس فلما ليتكون الناس أردا نعمة الزوال صلوات بر محمد اللهم صل على. These are the words of our ninth Imam. Words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom. And today, inshallah wa ta'ala, we will try to understand, I will at least, through you, on what is the relevance and importance of this ninth Imam, Imam al-Jawad. The meaning of this particular ahadith of our ninth Imam is, he says, when Allah increases someone's blessings, responsibilities increase towards these people. Whoever ignores the responsibility, Allah removes from this person all the blessings that was given to him. Durud Beji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. Who was our ninth Imam? Who was he? I personally am Jahil. Inshallah, trying to learn. But today, alhamdulillah, with in front of me very learned and educated people in Islam and Islamic studies, I have a feeling that I will learn something. My first question today to you: who was the mother of Imam Jawad? Anybody? Who was the mother of Imam Jawad? Yes? I did not hear that. I will help, inshallah. The name is Sadika or Sabika. Who was this Bibi Sabika? She was from the family of Mariatul Kibtai, the wife of the prophet and the mother of the son called Ibrahim. This is from her ancestry that who Bibi Sabika is from. What was the age of Imam when he got his imamate? 8, mashallah. How long was he the Imam for? His period of imamate. 17, mashallah. How many Abbasi Khalifa during Imam Jawad? Anybody? Yes. 2. Alhamdulillah. Allowed salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ma'amun and Mu'tasim. How many children did the Imam have? Anybody? How many children? Habibi, tafadhal. How many children did our 9th Imam have? He had 2 sons and 2 daughters. The name of the sons, Aliun Naki, Al-Hadi, and Musa. And the name of his daughters, Fatima and Ammama. 2 and 2. Durud Beji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Salli ala. Names of the wives of Imam al-Jawad. Anybody? Names of the wives Imam al-Jawad. One was Fadl, who was the daughter of Ma'mun. And the second, who lived in Medina, was Bibi Sumana Maghribiya, who was the mother of the 10th Imam. Durud Beji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad par. Allahumma salli ala. This is a tough one, but I thought it was interesting to share with you. Every Imam on their ring had an inscription. What was the inscription on the ring, the stone of the 9th Imam? It was Ni'mul Qadirul Mawla. That was the inscription on the ring of our 9th Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad salawatullahi alayhi wa salli ala. He was called Taqi because of his taqwa, his God consciousness, and he was called Jawad because of his generosity. His generosity. There are 3 Sunni ulamas in their famous books have written, not the Shia. These are the books that Ahl Sunnat follow. 3 of them. And they all say one thing. We have not seen anyone on the face of the earth as generous as the 9th Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad, salawatullahi alayhi wa salli ala. His excessively generosity, his open-handedness, and his cherubillityness and kindness to the people. He was very kind to the people. One year, Ahmad bin Hadid and some of his companions set out to perform Hajj. When they went to Hajj, and as they were coming back, there was a robber, a band of robbers, who robbed them. They had nothing left on them. They didn't know what to do. So they headed to Medina to Imam Jawad, and they said, Ya Imam, we don't even have a penny. The money that we had, even to continue our business, is gone. What does Imam Jawad do? He takes out enough money and hands it over. He hands it over to Ahmad bin Hadid, and he says, give it to all your companions and yourself, and see the barakat that comes from this money from here until Yawm Qiyamah. Durud Beji Muhammad wa Allahumma salli. Generosity. Generosity. And we'll get to it in a very short time, because I do want to dissect this generosity. The other thing, his generosity. There was a man, who was one of the Alawis, and he loved his bondsmaid in Yathrib. And he could not pay the price to free her so he can marry her. So he went to Imam Jawad and he said, Ya Imam. And the Imam says, what is it? Please. The Imam knew every situation because he had ilmul ghaib. He understood what was in his heart. And he said to him, but the man says that the bondsman that he wanted is sold. And he asked who the buyer was. He says, we do not know. Imam Jawad had bought the bondsmaid privately. It was already the property of our Imam. The man didn't know. And then the Alawi was so upset, he hurried up to Imam and says, the bondmaid was sold. He says, do you know who bought her? He says, no, I do not know. And he took the man to a small village. The Imam took this Alawi to a small village. And in that village where the bondsmaid was, he took her to the man to a house and ordered for him to come in. Took him in the house and says, come in. The man refused to go. He says he didn't know whose house it was. And Imam had just bought the house recently. Allahu Akbar. And he insisted to come in. The Imam says, please come in. They both came in the house. And when they saw the bondsmaid, Imam Jawad says, do you know her? He says, and the man said, yes, I do. And the Imam said, she, the house and the furniture, the garden and all the yields that are in this land is yours. This is a sakhawat. And the man suddenly falls on the feet of the Imam. He says, I have not seen a generous man like you. Durud Beji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad par. Allahumma salli. He had so much money. Our ninth Imam had a lot of money. I ask you, and please participate with me, where did his money come from? Anybody? What was the income or the source of money for the Imam? Anybody? Zakat, waqf, khums, fadak. A small portion was still in the possession of the Imam, and he would get yields from it. And 1 million dirham, gold coin, was given to him by Ma'mun every year to cover the atrocity that they had done towards Imam Raza alayhi salam. And what did the Imam do? He didn't say, yangu, naweka, siyali, I don't care. He gave it. Just like that hadith that was presented to Ma azmati ni'matu ala ahadin illa wa azmati alayhi ma'uzatina nas. When you have the ni'mah that Allah has given you, give it in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Durud peje Muhammad wa ali Muhammad par. Allahumma salli. Look at the charity and the generosity of this Imam. Amazing. It's a lesson for you and I, especially me. One day, it was narrated by Muhammad bin al-Walid al-Kirmani. He said, one day, we had a meal with Abu Jafar. And when we had finished the meal, and they were clearing the table, he said, do not touch the crumbs and do not throw those meat and the bone away. Teaching you and I, asraf nakaro. What did Imam do? He took all the crumbs and he went and he fed it to the birds. And he took the bones and he threw it where the animals that was hungry would come and eat it. Can we practice it? Do we do it? Kai kal na chawal vaida che rice. What do we do? Naki khawatu. Garbage ma phagavi dio. We do this. How about taking it and throwing it in your backyard and saying, I am giving this sadaqah in the name of the Imam? Allahu Akbar. Why don't we do this? If we practice this, then the haram and the gunah within us will start diminishing because we start appreciating the ni'mah of Rabb. Durud beje Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. I've been given time and I don't want to exceed it. Otherwise, Mukhi Sahib might get upset. But I will try to keep myself in time. Imam participated with people in their joy and happiness and distress. Comfort them in their misfortune and disaster and help the poor and the weak. But this benevolent charity Imam Jawad had occupied the hearts of and the feelings that made love for him to be sincere towards the Imam. In other words, Imam is saying, try to be like that. You say you are Shiyane Ali. You are Shiyane Ali. Are you enjoining people in their joy? कोई शादी छे एना मते खुश था नुक्स नहीं काटो टोको नहीं एने मेहरबानी करीने हाँ अमर बिल मारूफ साइड में बोलावीने समझा आ खोटू थाय आ सच but then this is our duty. The Imam is saying this, and in their distress, how many people have volunteered? There are 2 weddings coming up. And I bring my point to the wedding. I like weddings. The biryani is good. How many of us actually say, Mara layak kai kam kaaj hoye to boljo? How many? How do we know that this one person that's managing the wedding is all alone in the family? How do we know? We don't know. Oh yeah, but we're ready to criticize. Imam is saying, don't do that. And comfort them in their misfortune and in their disaster. When there is disaster, comfort them and help the poor and the weak. Help them. Do we? Do we look around and help? I will go into details. People had never seen at the time of Imam an equal to him in knowledge, piety, devotedness, and religiousness. None equal to him. He was unique in his virtue and morals. And the Islamic circle admired Imam Jawad. Why? Because of his talents and intellectual and scientific abilities, which were infinite. Why wouldn't they be infinite? They came from Allah. They were the Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every single powers given to them was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Durud beji Muhammad wa alim. Allahumma salli. Bade digar salawat. When we talk today about issues, ane madad karo, help this one, be nice to this one. We just listen to Surah Yasin, Alhamdulillah. And it is interesting in which number 47, ayat number 47, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the people alive, the ones that are alive, not the ones that are dead, the people like you and me. He's saying what? وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنْ نُطْعِمُ مَنْ لَوْ يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ أَطْعَمَ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. What a beautiful statement from Allah. He's showing, Allah is telling us, the words are translated and interpreted by Imam. But look at the heaviness of the meaning in Surah Yasin. Do we ever pay attention to this particular part? It's a very important part in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, He says unto them, spend what God has given you and provided you in substance in the name of Allah. Spend it. And those who disbelieve, you know what they say? Allah, what? I shall feed with whom, if Allah wished, He could feed. You are not but in manifest error. Why should I give? Allah chene, mane ai poche, ene aapse. This is the ghaflat that I am living in. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. But this is an ayat, je mane toke che. It's taunting me. Zakir Hussain telling me, is this your attitude? Is this your attitude? Then you are in the wrong. Because now you're not a Muslim. You've become a kafir. I didn't say that, Quran says this. When you turn your face from the commandments of Allah, you suddenly become a kafir because you challenged him. You're saying, La, you give it. Why should I? One day, our ninth Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad, salawatullahi alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he was sitting with his ashab, and they were having a discussion about generosity. What is generosity? And he was explaining them in layman's terms, language that they understood. Because if you start talking big, big things, sometimes if there's a kid in the majlis, you might say, that's not my cup of tea, I'm going to sleep. Imam always used the layman's terms, always. And he explained. So, the Ashabas, can you explain generosity? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And the Imam says, let me take you. Have you observed the khilqat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Look at Surah Naml, in which it talks about the bees that was revealed in Makkah. And Imam explains that these bees go from one flower to the other, and they remove the nectar, and they do two jobs. From their legs, the pollen is stuck. So they do pollination, and they also bring this juice back to the beehive. This is when all of them are accumulated, what happens? That substance that was there is now evaluated, and then the honey is made. And somebody asked the honeybee one day, I feel sorry for you. You work so hard, and all your honeybee is stolen by human beings. And the honeybee smiled and said, yeah, they took my honey, but they cannot take my skills. They didn't take my skills of making the honey. Imam says, look at the bee. It made honey. It went through the process to make what? Honey. What was the result? For whom? For insan. For the people, to give them shifa. As the Prophet had said in his hadith, that honey is shifa. And I can prove it. I was feeling very bad today, real down. And this is today, this afternoon. And I was asked by Sharikatul Hayat, will you be able to recite the Majlis? And I said, I don't know. Because I was really going down. And she said, Kobar. Okay. And then she took a glass of water and stirred up a teaspoon of honey. I said, drink it. And you're witnessing it, that I can speak now. I have the energy. Honey, the medicine for insan. Imam says, come to the next level. Come to the next level. Look, observe. Do tafakkur and tadabbur. Look at the chicken. The chicken goes and takes grains from the ground, and any sustenance that is given to the chicken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it consumes it. And what does it give in return? Eggs. The result, the honeybee gives honey, this one gives eggs. Look at the animal. The cow, the goat, it will take all different kind of vegetation and eat it. And what happens? That transforms into them into a substance which is called milk. Milk. And we drink the milk. It is for us. Allahu Akbar. Imam is explaining. And he says, look at Hazrat-e Insan. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat-e Insan, when his stomach growls, and it says very loudly, if you don't feed me, I will disgrace you. And it does disgrace you. It will make you steal, it will make you rob, it will go and make you do things that are below and beneath your character. Then when it is fed, it is full now, the stomach will say, please release me quickly, otherwise tane badnaam kar. I will disgrace you. And you know what the insan has to do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran, as the Imam says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ التَّقْوِيمِ Surah 18. It's made him from the highest mold. So the Imam is explaining. He's explaining the beauty on what the insan is supposed to do. The honeybee gave honey, the chicken gave egg, the cows gave milk and their meat. What is insan supposed to do? What is insan's purpose? And now the Imam Jawad starts explaining. He says, the blessings and giving, because the blessings of giving selflessly is generosity. When you give selflessly, that's called generosity. And the biggest ni'mah on the face of the earth, which you and I are looking for, is the peace of mind. But a father goes to work day to night. What's he going for? Money? So he can feed his children and he's take care of his family and has peace of mind. That is the biggest ni'mah. The Imam is now explaining to these ashab, what are we expected in generosity to dispense out? Because number one, knowledge. Share it or it will be removed. Share it. You're an engineer, you're a PhD, you're an air conditioning mechanic, you are a parts manager person, whoever you are, you have knowledge about that particular trait. Share it. Share it. If you don't share it, the Imam gives another beautiful example. He says, have you seen a river flowing? When suddenly it reaches a certain spot, some water goes and spills over and it becomes a pond. The water that's flowing stays clean because it is called Ma'i Jahinda. It is a flowing water. You can drink out of it, you can do wudu out of it, but that pond becomes no movement. It becomes stagnant. You cannot drink from it. You cannot do anything. The people that have knowledge and they keep it to themselves, they have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How come you didn't share that knowledge? How come? Second, wealth. Pesa. Money is empowerment. Lift somebody. Lift somebody. Help somebody. With your money, with your power. Maskini bicharo. Na maskini no. Taro bhai che. Lift him up. Help him. This is the advice of our ninth Imam. Then the third, skill. In Arabic is called ma'ar. Skill that we talked about, that the honeybee has. When you have a skill, teach that skill to somebody. It may help him to get a professional achievement. Teach it. Usiweke. Itaoza. I know this is Swahili is saying, Aki Mahayozi. No. Imam is saying, these you are answerable for. The fourth, your strength and your ability. Your power. When you see that there is strength that you have, maybe power of thinking, maybe physical power, any kind of power. As you have strength, remember, utilize it for the benefit of somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. It's not going to help you. And the best example of that was none other than Asadullah al-Ghalib. Ghalib kulle ghalib, matlub kulle talib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi alayhi wa alayhi. His shuja'ah was renowned. Marhab. All these big warriors were chopped off. But yet, look at Imam Ali alayhi salam. What does he do with his power? In the middle of the night, you will see him in the gullies of Kufa with a bag in his back and a small mushk in his hand with milk, going around feeding the yatim, the gharib, and the bela. Imam Ali showed, and this is the son of Imam, his teaching, how to empower people. Don't keep it to yourself. I know this majlis is more like a lecture, and I'm giving you hidayah more than anything else, but the hidayah is for me more than you. And how we can improve. We're not only here to commemorate the Shahadat, we're here through the teachings of the Imam to improve ourselves. Improve ourselves. Now, question is, are we sharing the blessings or not? Are we sharing these blessings or not? One last ahadith par aapki zahmat ko tamam karunga, inshallah. One day, our Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli. A person comes to him and he's needy. He was really poor. He needed. So the Prophet took him on the side. Not in front of all the ashab. La, la, la. Ila riyakari khatarnak. When you want to show off, that becomes null and void of all your amal. I've given this Jamaat $15,000 in year 2001. Khalas. All my sawab is gone. Riyakari is bad. The prophets took this man on the side and took out a big bag and gave it to him. But before he could even take the bag, the Prophet, who, Rahmatul lil Alameen, he kisses his hands. Kisses his hands and then puts the bag on his hand. One ashab saw it and he says, Ya Rasulallah, you are Rahmatul lil Alameen. You are kissing the hands of another person who should be kissing your hand? He says, you don't know the ma'rifah of generosity and giving. When you are giving, fi sabilillah, kurbatan ilallah, you are not giving it in his hands. It is going through his hands in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Durud beji Muhammad wa ali. Allahumma salli. Oh, Zadaran Hussain, I have taken quite a bit of your time, alhamdulillah, hopefully in an educational way. But today, we need to learn a little more about our ninth Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad. The atrocities that were done on to him. One of his fazail, Ma'mun tried to embarrass him with the help of Mu'tasim. There came a guy who was guilty because he had stolen. And they called all the ulama, all the alims, all the mujtahids of that time, and they told them, what do we do? He says, cut his hands off from the shoulder. The other said, no, cut it right here. The other said, no, by the elbow. The other, no, here, by the wrist. The other one was cut in the middle here. Ma'mun and Mutasim were completely confused because different opinion about one simple issue. Even the enemy comes to whom? Imam al-Muhammad al-Taqi al-Jawad, salawatullahi alayhi wa alayhi. Allahumma salli ala. A shair has said something beautiful. Maslahat hai, ya tawajjuh hai, ya ek sazish hai. Ek dushman ne mere haq mein dua maangi hai. They call him and they tell the Imam, we have a problem. How old was the Imam at that time? 10 or 11? 10 or 11. They call him. And they ask him, because they knew this is from the progeny of Ali and Fatima. They know he is from the progeny of Rahmatul lil Alameen. He will have the right answer. So ask him, Yabna Rasulullah, what do we do? And he said, these are the answers. And the Imam is quiet. They ask him again. He is quiet. So Ma'mun says, why don't you answer, oh son of Ali? Why don't you answer? He says, maybe the answer I will give will be contradictory to all of these, but the answer I will give you will only be from ahadith of the Prophet and the Quran itself. He says, now, he showed him the ayat of the Quran, he presented the ahadith of none other than the Prophet, and he says, all you do is cut the tips of the finger. When he reached home, the ashab asked him, why is that? And the Imam, look at his fazail. Allahu Akbar. He says, there are 7 things that must touch in sajdagah. 7. The palm of your hand, the forehead, your knees, and your 2 toes. He says, if you cut the hand off, now this man cannot do sujood. And because he cannot pray, the azab will be on the person that gave him punishment. Allahu Akbar. What is the moral of the story? When you are declaring a punishment for somebody, make sure that you are within the jurisprudence of Sharia and with the ahadith and the Quran. Don't come out with an opinion that is simply from your pocket. Durood Beji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. My brothers and sisters in Iman, being the wafat of our 9th Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad, he went through a lot of atrocities. He was constantly being called from Medina all the way up to Baghdad, constantly. First by Ma'mun and then by Mu'tasim. And Mu'tasim was a person that was a complete enemy of the Ahlul Bayt and the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt. Zadar, let us today give our pursa to Janab Sayyida alayhi salam for the loss of her child, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad. One day comes when Fadl, the wife who was the daughter of Ma'mun, and also Mu'tasim was the uncle. They planned something together, and they took grapes and they filled it with poison, and it was given to Fadl and says, go give it to your husband. Allahu Akbar. She goes, she goes in the room, and she leaves the grapes and say, have this. This is from me and Mu'tasim. And she dismisses all the servants, and they all leave. She locks the door from outside, Azadaro. She locks the door from outside. And what does Imam do? He takes the grape and puts it in his mouth. And he says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Just that one grape was so strong that the Imam started shivering and trembling. Azadaro, when someone is poisoned, the one thing that happens is they get very thirsty quickly. And Imam, he is now goes to the balcony and he's very thirsty. He drags himself and he says, Allah Tash, Allah Tash. I Imam, 25 years old, you're saying Allah Taj. Today my heart goes to Karbala, where Bibi Sakina and all the children are surrounding Abbas and saying, Ammu Abbas, Allah Taj, Allah Taj. Imam, when he's at the balcony, he's so thirsty. He remembers the thirst of Imam Hassan. He remembers the thirst of Imam Zainul Abidin. He remembers the thirst of Imam Musa Kazim and his father Imam Ali Raza. And finally, our Imam collapses in the balcony. Azadaran Hussein. Over here, when he collapses, he makes sure that his legs are facing the Qibla. Over in Medina, the 10th Imam, Aliyun Naki. He goes to his mother and he says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And the mother asks, what happened? He says, my father has just passed away. Azadaran Hussein, the door was locked for 3 days. 3 दिन तक अज़ादारो वो लाशा इमाम का वहीं पड़ा रहा. जितने भी मुहिब्बान थे वो आते थे और चले जाते थे. आखिर में फरवा आकर दरवाजा 3 दिन के बाद खोली और इमाम का लाशा जो था अहादीस से पढ़ रहा हो, गुलामों को कहा उठाओ और कोठे से जमीन पर फेंक दो. आए इमाम का लाशा जमीन पर आया. जरे जिस्म की हड्डियां टूटी हो गई. अला लानतुल्लाह अलकौम ज़ालिमीन. सिमुल्लज़ीन खुयन कलियो. रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम. मातमे हुसैन.
کہتے تھے رو رو نکی بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو رو نکی بابا محمد تقی، ہائے غضب ہو گیا بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو رو بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو رو بابا محمد تقی، ہائے غضب ہو گیا بابا محمد، کیسا سفر یہ ہوا جس میں جدائی ہوئی، کیسا سفر یہ ہوا جس میں جدائی ہوئی، راہی جنت ہوا بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے نکی بابا محمد تقی، کہتے بابا محمد تقی، ہائے غضب ہو گیا رونا کیوں کر بھلا بابا محمد تقی، رونا کیوں کر بھلا تم سے جدائی ہوئی، آہ میں آج لٹ گیا بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو رو بابا محمد تقی، ہائے غضب زہر سے مارا تمہیں فاطمہ بے چین ہے، زہر سے مارا تمہیں فاطمہ بے چین ہے، سوئے جینا چل بسے بابا محمد تقی، کہتے تھے رو رو نکی محمد تقی، محمد تقی، ہائے غضب ہو گیا قبر تک نہیں ایک جاں ہوئی، کوئی ہے نجف شام میں کوئی، قبر تک نہیں ایک جاں ہوئی، کوئی ہے نجف شام میں کوئی کاظم ہے یوں جدا جدا، آل مصطفیٰ پہ ظلم یہ جفا، وا محمدا وا مصیبتا وا مصیبتا آل مصطفیٰ، جس کو کہے نبی بضعۃ منی اس کا گھر جلے آہ مومنین، جس کو کہے نبی بضعۃ منی اس کا گھر جلے آہ مومنین، در کا در گرا درہ تک لگا، آل مصطفیٰ پہ ظلم یہ جفا، محمدا وا مصیبتا وا محمدا آل مصطفیٰ، جس کی شان میں ہو سور حل عطا، بے غذا رہے وہ وا مصیبتا، جس کی شان میں ہو سور حل عطا، بے غذا رہے وہ وا مصیبتا، پانی تک نہ دے اس کو بے خطا، آل مصطفیٰ پہ ظلم یہ جفا، محمدا وا مصیبتا محمدا وا مصیبتا یہ جفا، حضرت تقی اور علی نکی اور یزد امام اصغری، حضرت تقی اور علی نکی یزدہم امام اصغری، زہر دے اسے کھائے بے خطا، آل مصطفیٰ پہ ظلم یہ جفا وا محمدا وا مصیبتا وا محمدا وا مصیبتا آل مصطفیٰ پہ ظلم یہ جفا. الفاتحہ. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله عبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, Salah will be down in the worship center. We will be praying there. For those who are leaving, they can collect their tabarruk up. For those who will be, for the prayer, we will have the tabarruk also downstairs. Inshallah, we have about 6 minutes to Salah.